Hey, Dad.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Jade? How
Oh,
you
we
doing?
got the OG in the building.
Oh, I am an OG. I'm an original gangster. That's a fact. I'm old school.
Okay, I gotta say, I'm loving the quarantine hair.
Really? Well, you know
I,
what?
I like
I
I like it grown out. I know you're like the military man, and what is it called? It's called what? High and tight? High and tight?
Yeah, high and tight. But you know what? I can wear this afro because I got afro sheen from 1967 still.
Oh, oh my God. Well, let's just like dive in. First of all, I want to say, like, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I see that we have quite a few viewers already. We really just jumped on my Instagram last time to kind of share my dad's knowledge with my followers. Obviously, like, I'm pretty lucky. I've grown up with having a scientist and doctor as my dad. So I felt really prepared when the COVID pandemic hit because my dad's been telling me it was going to happen back in, what, February, right, Dad? Like you were
Yeah,
telling me to
yeah.
like go grab alcohol and get gloves, and you sent me a mask. Like, so we knew this was happening. So really, I just wanted to be able to pass on what I have access to everyone else. And so we really appreciate all of the feedback and the love and the kind comments that you guys have been leaving, because that's what this is really all about. It's just like sharing knowledge and hopefully saving lives. Right, Dad?
Absolutely, and I appreciate you, listening to me and giving me the opportunity to educate people. Because the bottom line, at the end of the day, if I'm saving people's lives, we're doing our job, and we need to save people's lives for
Right.
sure, no doubt about it.
Right. So just to give intros to some people who are kind of new to who I am and who my dad is. My name is Jordyn Rolling. I'm a journalist living in Brooklyn. I work in Times Square, actually, but journalist, entertainer, living in New York City. And then this is my dad, Dr. Jordyn Rolling. He's a microbiologist, a professor of virology at the Heinrich, how do you say it? Heinrich
Heinrich Petit
Pitts
Institute
Institute?
in Hamburg, Germany.
In Germany, I can't speak German, so I'm like totally butchering these German words. I can speak Espanol though. But yeah, so my dad's also the director of clinical research and education for the Tropical Pathology and Infectious Disease Association, as well as a trauma surgeon, as well as a U.S. veteran. Thanks, Dad, for like being so open to talk to everybody and like putting yourself out there, because it's not that easy.
No, it's not, and I've been doing this for 30 years and stuff, and all the drama I've seen in medicine with patients that had every disease from, multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, Zika, chikungunya, malaria, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and operating on babies that are 3 days old. It scars you, but it gives you a good scar because it makes you understand compassion. And I'm a very compassionate individual. I love people, and so it's the cross that I was built to carry, was to carry other people's crosses, especially babies and stuff. So you give me the opportunity to talk to people about saving their lives in this pandemic is very important, because I knew about this back in December, and a lot of people wonder, why do we guys like us infectious disease guys that are in the field, we know why this was going to happen, because I read the paper every day at 3 o'clock in the morning all over the world, and I'm looking for disease outbreaks. I'm looking for the next Ebola in Africa. I'm looking for the next cholera outbreak in Asia. It's important that we understand that and understand the disease. We can predict if it's going to happen, and so that's what I knew back in December. We knew what was going to happen. So we're here now. We're in the pandemic, so now it's time to make sure people are educated. They know the truth. We're going to keep it real, and that's how it is. I can give you the Dr. Rolling version, or I can give you the Mickey Mouse version.
You can give the Dr. Rolling version, or you can give the daddy version. I mean, I think today I'm prepared. I feel good. We might do the Dr. Rolling version, not the daddy version. But yeah, really, let's just dive right in. I really want to talk about what I know is on everybody's mind. Georgia just opened back up. It's the only state that obviously has opened back up. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's too soon?
I think it's too soon because a lot of people don't understand that we haven't even finished the first wave of the pandemic. And this first wave, there's going to be a second wave and there's going to be a third wave. If you understand history itself, in the 1918 pandemic, that pandemic really started in 1917 and went to 1920. And what's going to happen is that they're opening up too soon in Georgia because they're not understanding and respecting the science. And so what's going to happen when they open up, instead of, we're already predicting what the numbers are going to be, they're going to make the numbers dramatically higher. So there's going to be much more deaths. There's going to be much more people who are sick because they're not following the stuff about pandemics and stuff. Always a first wave. The first wave is usually about 25% of the population. Once the disease goes to the first 25% of the population and people affected, then what happens is they take people out of quarantine. They take people out of social distancing, but all these other people, this other 75% of people haven't been infected. Then what happens is that the 50% of the people get infected and the numbers are going to go up dramatically. Then at the tail end of the pandemic, we'll have the remainder 25% of the population. So what they're going to do in Georgia, they're going to speed up the pandemic quickly, but this is going to last at least 2 years. This is going to go on from today until about probably 2022 when we get to the final part of this particular pandemic. Period. End of story.
Okay.
That's nice.
So we'll dive way more into that. Obviously we saw a lot of the comments and a lot of people said it was really, really long, our last stream, but it was really insightful. So we're going to try and keep it concise, but there's a lot of information to get out. So just bear with us if it is a little bit longer. One thing that I wanted to talk about since the last time that we did the live, which was like a month ago, how has the coronavirus changed? Like how many strains are there now? Like what's different about it since then?
Well, this is the interesting thing about coronavirus. This particular coronavirus is a large RNA virus, and like we said last time, has a lot of immunogenic capabilities. That virus that started back in Wuhan back in October of this year is now 33 different strains of the COVID-19 that are circulating in the population as we speak now. And that's why some people can get infected. They recover and then they can be reinfected by the other strain. It could be COVID-19 or it could be COVID number 23 or it could be COVID-33 because we know that there are 33 different strains. And this is a problem with Georgia trying to open up too quickly because they haven't had the virus go through the population. And the virus has to go through the population. This is what we call herd immunity. People don't like that word herd immunity because what it means is that everybody in the population has to be exposed to build up immunity. And then once you have immunity to it, then people can go back to their normal lives like we have with influenza. And so this virus has changed. It's mutated to 33 different strains worldwide. It affects not only your lungs, it affects your brain, it affects your kidney, your lungs, your heart. It affects your lower extremity. It causes you to have clots. It causes you to have COVID toes where you have little hemorrhages and embolisms in your feet. So this virus has changed and it's going to keep changing because that's what viruses do. This virus gets inside you, it attaches to your lung cell, it goes into the cell, it replicates and makes, each individual virus can make anywhere from 100,000 viruses in one cell. It bursts out. Then what happens is after it gets done with you, it goes to the next host, the next human being, like a vampire.
Wait, so let's talk about that. So how do you contract it? I'm like, totally, I'm with you. But so let's break it down. So how do you contract it? I know we've talked about airborne versus contact, right?
Well, there's really three major ways you can contract coronavirus infection. One is through your lungs. It could be wet moisture environment. The second thing is contact. You can spit, you can wipe your nose. Somebody can wipe their nose on a table. They could spit on the ground with COVID-19 and you can get it on your shoes. And then the other one you can get it through is gastrointestinal diarrhea, feces. It can be passed that way too. So these are the three ways you can get COVID-19.
Oh, wow. So, and I know you kind of mentioned this again, but if you get COVID-19, if you contract it and you recover, can you get it again?
Yes, you can. And the reason why you can get it again, because there are different strains of it. If there was only one strain of the COVID-19, like, for example, we would say COVID number one out of this COVID-19 of 33 different strains, you got the first strain. It was only one strain. You get it, you recover, that's it. But the problem with this virus has 33 different types of coronavirus in this particular, this one. And you could get COVID 24 and then get better and then get COVID-13. You know, we have a disease called dengue, which kills more people on the planet as a mosquito-borne transmitted virus disease, and they have 4 different strains. So sometimes people get dengue 1, and then next week it's dengue 2, then a year from now it's 3 or 4. So you keep mixing this up. So this is the same phenomenon behind the COVID-19, 33 different strains.
So I know a lot of the comparisons have been made with COVID-19 to the flu and the pandemic in 1917 to 1920. A lot of comparisons made with those. Is this like the flu? Is this something that's going to come back every season? Do we know that yet? Like, what can you say about that?
No, this COVID-19 it's endemic now. You know, we use the word pandemic. Pandemic means worldwide. It is worldwide. Then we have epidemic, which means the disease is in a certain community, a state. This disease is endemic, which means the disease is in the population. It's going to be here forever. It's not going anywhere. And so it's going to coincide with influenza. It's going to coexist with influenza. And so COVID-19 is going to be here in the springtime. It's going to be here in the summertime. It's going to be here in the fall time. And that's just the way it is because of the type of virus it is.
So you said spring, summer, fall, winter as well, or just those?
Yes,
3
all
seasons?
season, all seasons, all year long. This virus
Okay,
is
so
a unique one. Mm-hmm.
So obviously I'm going to go back to Atlanta because like that's the hot topic that is on everyone's mind. Atlanta holds the majority of Georgia's population. And as we know, more than 50% of Atlanta's population is African American. We know that COVID-19 is disproportionately killing Black people. Why is that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to healthcare disparities. You know, a lot of people have been talking about, especially the TV pundits are talking about, Black people have comorbidities. Native Americans have comorbidities. Mexican Americans have comorbidities. Well, the comorbidities are like diabetes, high blood pressure, overweight. Well, guess what? White people have diabetes. White people have high blood pressure. They have all the diseases that we have. The only difference is that what happens is that Blacks, minorities, people of color lack healthcare access. What happens is they go into the system. They may not even have the system in some of these rural areas. And if they do go into the healthcare system, the system tells them, hey, go home and self-quarantine. We're not going to give you a test. You go home, and then also you get a fever of 104 degrees, and then you go back to the hospital. You have a full-blown case of viral bacterial pneumonia with inflammation in your lungs. Ball game's over with. You're done. And because once we put you on the ventilator, 85% of the people are gonna die. And so what's happened is that once again is the minorities really not understanding or having been excluded into the healthcare system. You know, we can talk about this easy syphilis experiment and all this stuff. It's having confidence in the system. And so if minorities went into the system and got treated on the front end, we wouldn't have the amount of complication that we have. And I think another thing to add is that it's a communication thing. Are we really speaking people's languages? Are we talking to African Americans in their language that they understand? Are we talking to the Native American people in their language? Are we talking to the Mexican Americans in their language to understand the significant and how serious this disease is?
So it really just like boils my blood, right? And it makes me really angry. Like, how do we solve this? Like, how do we get healthcare that's equivalent to non-minorities? Like, how do we march in and demand it? Like, is there not a simple solution? Am I naive?
You know, I think it goes down to understanding public health and understanding that how do you protect your community? And each community has to be strong for themselves. So you got to have people in the community, healthcare professionals, public health people, nursing people that you know and you're very comfortable with. I mean, this is a systemic problem in the United States. It's just the way it is. The reason why this disease is huge and a problem is that because if it was a black kid in Africa with Ebola, people wouldn't care about it. You've been to Peru with me, and you've seen the kids, and they have malaria and dengue and all these different diseases that we treat. People in America don't care about that. The reason why people care about this disease is because this coronavirus doesn't discriminate. It kills white people, black people, rich, left, right. It doesn't care. And so when people realize that this disease can take their mortality away, what happens is people change their attitudes, but they're going to make sure they're going to get theirs first. And I'm going to give one example of that. There's an island off the coast of Miami that has, I think, 500 or 600 rich people. All the rich people have gotten the coronavirus test. And the first responders, essential workers, can't even get the coronavirus test. That shows you the healthcare disparities and how the system is for the have and have-nots.
I mean, going back again to, we know, again, Black people, one-third, the CDC says that 1/3 of the infections are Black people, right? And Black people make up, 13% of the United States population, and 1/3 of the deaths are Black people. I know you said healthcare disparity is a part of the reason for that. Is it also because majority of our essential workers are Black and brown people, right? So if that's the case, right. So I know for me here in New York City, I live in New York City, so obviously 70% of our essential workers are minorities, brown people. So when you are an essential worker and you have to go back to work, or if you're in a state like Georgia that's open and you have to go back to work, or you want to go back to work, frankly, because you need to provide for your family, how do you protect yourself?
Well, I mean, and I'm gonna answer this way, and it's sad, but because the essential workers are the bus drivers, the essential workers are the people that work in Walmarts or meat markets. The essential workers are the people that are in our food plants, the Smithfields, the people that works in the stores and stuff. And what happens is that's just the reality that we live in, and these people are on the front line of being exposed to disease, but they're not getting frontline healthcare. They should be the first people to be, tested for coronavirus. Also with the nurses and the doctors that are actually in the field, police people, and also firemen. And this is very sad about that. And so the question is, how do they protect themselves? Well, they protect themselves.
So you're saying one getting tested, first of all.
What? Absolutely, and it's confirmational tests, and it has to be. We have to know that. And a lot of people think that the test is going to be one test. No. You might have a test, 3 or 4 tests in you every 6 months. Why? Because one day you could be positive, next week you're negative, then you can be positive again. You might be negative, taking a test, and then 6 weeks later you change, or the next day you change. So the test is very important, and that has to be uniform. Everybody in America has to be tested. That's just the bottom line. That is the basis to know what we know, who's infected, what area, etc. Then the second thing is having good bioprotection protocols, procedures, and security, i.e. having the, all the PPE stuff, the equipment, the masks, the N95s, or a mask that gives them some protection, gloves, understanding, safe hands, save lives, wash your hands with alcohol, and etc. When you're not wearing your shoes in your house, how to wash your hands with stuff that actually works, and understanding the microorganisms. For example, using Hibiclens is a great antiseptic stuff that we use. And the reason why I haven't been infected by diseases all these years that I've dealt with this stuff is that we use Hibiclens.
Right, and you deal with crazy diseases.
I mean, I've seen rabies and yellow fever. I've seen diseases take people's jaws away, eat their nose away, eat their face away. I've dealt with the most significant diseases on this planet that destroys people. And one of the reasons why, and I have my buddies that have died from multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, and the reason why they've died is because they were exposed. And so we're mortal too. But one of the things that we do is having good protocols and procedures. And then you have to have a good mask. You have to be able to wash your hands. You have to have alcohol, because alcohol kills viruses and bacteria 100%. and it has to be 70% alcohol. Cannot be 90% or 80% or 60%. It has to be 70% because 70% is the physical chemistry that allows for evaporation time and contact time with the viruses and bacteria. Kills it 100%. Hibiclens is great for anti washing hands. This is what we use in surgery. This is what we use to wash our hands in my biolabs in Germany. And this works great because it kills viruses, bacterial, and fungi, and it lasts us 24 hours. This is a hand wash soap. So stuff like that can save people's lives. Having the air filtration units, understanding your situation. You understand that if you go into a meat plant in South Dakota and there's no separation or distancing, no great PPE protection, you're going to be 100% effective. Just like what's happening in the nursing homes in America, where the whole entire nursing home is infected. 70 people in the nursing homes are dying. Right. Go for it.
I know that people have some questions when it comes to like the hand washing. Like, again, like you said, like a PPE, very important. So that means like your mask, your gloves, etc. Also, you're talking about making sure you take your shoes off so you're not tracking bacteria and viruses inside your home and like walking around in your bedrooms and your kitchens. Also, you said stuff like wearing a separate set of clothes. If you're an essential worker or you have to go to work, wear a separate set of clothes and change right at your door into your other set of clothes. Like any ways to protect yourself like that. And then with the hand washing, like you recommend Hibiclens, obviously, which it kills viruses, fungus, bacteria for a total of 24 hours. It keeps your hands clean of those things. And also the 70% alcohol. But what if people, A, can't afford Hibiclens, or B, can't find 70% alcohol because frankly, it's sold out everywhere? What then do you use?
Well, then you go to the alternative. Then if you have to, you're going to have to get 60% alcohol or 6% or greater alcohol content. You might have to use 90% alcohol, 80%. You might even have to go and use liquor to sterilize the area if you can't find it. And we have to understand too, it's not about just having, part of healthcare disparities and also economic disparities is that people can't afford this stuff. And we have people on the Indian reservations, 320,000 Native Americans on the Indian reservation in Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico do not have running water. They do not have electricity. And so we have to come up with some type of solution because not everybody's going to be able to afford the best, the Hibiclens. But some people can have soap and water, but guess what? They don't have the water with the soap. And so these are some alternative plans and stuff. So alcohol, and using liquor if you have to, and get kind of creative and stuff, because a lot of the people on the planet, and I know an example in Peru, you're talking about over 8 million people don't have running water access to it. They can't do safe hands, save lives, to wash their hands. So this is a reality to some people here in Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, even probably in New York, and your modern city, there are people that don't have water, can't have access to clean water to wash their hands, even if it's soap or Hibiclens.
So other questions that we've had also, people are asking, one, what do I do if my child goes from home to home? Me and my ex are split up. What do I do? How do I keep my child safe, or how do I keep my child from bringing the virus into my home from their dad's home, etc.? And how do I protect my home from my dog walking?
Well, I mean, when we talk about that situation, it's going to depend on what the occupation of the individual is. If you're married to somebody and they're working in a meat plant and have high exposure or high risk, that is somebody you don't want your kids to be around, because your kids are going to probably be infected, and that's vice versa and stuff. So they need to work that out, because what we need to understand is it's the life of the child that we're looking for, and not an individual. You're in a pissing contest figuring out who has the rights and stuff. You have to think about the children. So if you have an individual working in a meat plant and you got 95% infection, or somebody's working in a nursing home, you're playing Russian roulette. You're going to get sick, and you're going to bring that stuff home to the kids, and you're going to affect them. But also the kids need to understand just the normal policies and procedures, that they need to make sure that they cut their nails. They need to make sure they wash their hands. They need to make sure that they take their shoes off. They have to get ready for the change that the pandemic's done in our society, because we're not going back to what it was 2 months ago. You must forget about that. Mm-hmm.
And then dogs, what do you do about dogs' feet? And then also people have questions about, I think, cleaning supplies in the homes. I'm seeing a lot of questions like about bleach, like does Clorox, I think disinfecting surfaces. If you don't have alcohol to disinfect surfaces, can you use bleach, etc.? And what about dogs' feet?
Well, I mean, one of the things about dogs is that when we talk about understanding biosecurity, your hands are probably one of the most contaminated things. So we understand safe hands save lives. So you know what to get for that. When it comes to second, probably the most contaminated thing you have is the bottom of your shoes, because your bottom of shoes carries coronavirus. It carries influenza. It carries E. coli. You go into a bathroom and you walk in the bathroom on your bottom of shoes infected. And so people come home with their shoes with coronavirus or whatever disease, and they walk through their house. They're tracking that virus or that bacteria in their house. So they have to not wear their shoes in the house. There's a thing we use called rescue wipes. Rescue wipes is what we use to spray your shoes off. It has a what we call 99.999% log kill. I mean, it's one of the highest things. It's what we use on the space station. It's what they clean stuff with. Spray your shoes with that. Leave it at the door. Then if you don't have that type of stuff, you can use bleach diluted. Don't want to use bleach concentrated, but any type of disinfectant that has a good kill rate, and that kill rate is 99.999%. We call it a fourth log kill is what you want to be using, because that's going to kill coronavirus, kills bacteria. You're going to have what we call sterilization and what we call disinfection for sure.
Okay, so we got to talk about this. If I contract it, what do I do? What is the treatment? I know you say never bet against the virus, right? Never bet against the virus.
That is so true. We have this thing that we've said when we did HIV research for years, spent billions of dollars trying to do a vaccine. We have a saying in our world in virology, never bet against the virus. And that's the way it is. Most viruses, you can't come up with treatments. In this particular disease, COVID-19, as I speak right now, there's no treatment for this. This is what the NIH has said with the recommendation that came out just 3 days ago. Using medication like malaria medication does not work. Period. You take malaria medication, you're going to more likely you're going to die. You take a Z-Pack with this, you're going to more likely die. The new medication, the HIV medication, remdesivir, they're thinking has some promise, but I have to see that. And the bottom line, that this medication does not inhibit the virus. It inhibits a protein in the cell. And this virus always mutates all the time. So it's very difficult to play catch up, because that's part of the evolution of the virus. So when you talk about treatment is we can treat your symptoms. You got a fever. You don't want to take Motrin, because Motrin will aspirate the inflammation in your lungs.
Or
and
ibuprofen.
They did this in France. Motrin or ibuprofen. You want to do is take Tylenol. That will give you the fever relief and pain relief. If you have what most people end up dying from with these respiratory diseases is pneumonia. And most of the time, the pneumonia is a bacterial pneumonia, and it can be a combination viral and bacterial. But as there's a bacterial pneumonia, we can give you antibiotics for it. Usually the number one pneumonia bacteria causing organism is Streptococcus pneumonia. So you can take ciprofloxacin and all these different medications and stuff. And then everything else is just symptomatic. This is what it comes down to, is treating the symptoms, hoping that your immune system is strong, making sure you have a good diet. You're not smoking cigarettes, because if you're smoking cigarettes, you're already killing your cells, so you're going to have a bigger viral infection. So doing preventive stuff, taking vitamins, having a positive mental attitude that we're going to get through this stuff. But only we can treat it as symptoms, folks, because there's no magic bullet to this. And don't be talking about you're going to drink Clorox. You drink Clorox, you will definitely be in a body.
No.
That's a fact. No
Okay,
joke.
we're gonna put this on the same level. Don't smoke cigarettes and don't drink Clorox. Okay, guys, you've heard it from us. Don't do it. No smoking cigarettes. Quit. If any time you get motivated to quit smoking cigarettes and don't even try drinking Clorox. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So a lot of people have questions about a vaccine. So I'm not speaking for anyone except myself, Jordyn. I don't want to get a vaccine. I don't like to put things in my body. I'm a pretty natural person. Is there going to be a vaccine? And if there is a vaccine, I mean, would you give a recommendation that people get it?
Well, here's the deal. I'm gonna use. I'm gonna give it two answers to this question that you just asked. One, people get the influenza vaccine every year. The CDC puts out that the influenza vaccine that people take today is 27% effective. So what happens to the other 75% of the people? And that is not 26% or 27%. It's probably only 10% of the people get any benefit from it. So no. Is there going to be a vaccine for this particular virus? Absolutely not. And the reason why, because it's 33 different types of strains. So you're going to have a vaccine that has every possible combination that this virus can mutate. So I mean, you might as well go to Vegas and win the lottery, because you're not going to win the lottery on this virus. I can tell you that for sure. Just because of the RNA and also the genetic makeup of this virus. This virus is very RNA immunogenic. It changes, has mutation. Never ever bet against the virus.
Oh my goodness. When you said Vegas, you reminded me of, did you see the video of the Vegas mayor talking to Anderson Cooper?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Oh.
How
Yeah, but
funny. We're not even gonna go there, but that was crazy. That was crazy.
well, why you don't want to? Why you don't want to go
also,
there? Ho. Why you don't want to go there, baby girl, my baby daughter?
Daddy, we can go there if you want to go there.
No,
What
I'm
did you
just
think
saying.
about that? I was laughing.
Well, I think the take home message I took out of that, not the fact that she went off on all these different tangents. The factor that people need to understand, she will take other people's lives, have you go and test it in the casino and get infected, but she wouldn't do her own family, telling people that she's not an idiot. So if you're going to step up and play the game, then you go ahead and get your family exposed, and then we'll figure out if you're in the 2 to 3% of the people that die, and we put your family in a body bag. Our job is to save people's lives. And when people start talking stupid like that, and they don't want to step up to the plate. Well, you step up to the plate with your life. You go to the casino, get yourself infected, and let us know how it feels. That's just my take. That's keeping it real.
I know people always want the higher ups, the wealthy. They always want to use the lower income people, the brown people, as the guinea pigs, and it's not happening.
Well, it's not right when you think about the French scientists. These guys 2 months ago they're talking about we're going to go to Africa and we're going to do a vaccination program in Africa. And my point is that once you do a vaccination program on the white kids in France, in Paris, just you want to keep it real. Don't do it on your people, and then you find out what happens and let us know about it, and not the other way around. Because once you're dead and we put you in a body bag, the ball game's over. And I don't want anybody experimenting on anybody on this planet, because that shows you people have lack of compassion. And what drives me in this business of taking care of people and to do the stuff I do and to walk through the jungles and go to different villages and save these children is that I have compassion for my fellow mankind. And that sometimes that compassion is my gasoline that keeps the light on the rabbit hole for me in the world I live in, the horror I see. And so my life is not a game. It's not a stage. This is real life. And when you hear them women scream, and they're screaming and crying because their babies are dead, and they're saying, Dr. Rolling, why can't I go back to yesterday? Why can't I go back to a week ago? My baby was alive. Please help me, Dr. Rolling. And you look at them and your heart breaks. It scars you. And so that becomes your calling card in life. And that's who I am. So when people start talking about, you go find out. No, you go find out and have your family exposed to it so you can go through the pains and the cries that I hear at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I love you. You're like making me cry. It's insane. It's funny because it's like, It's crazy because like I grew up watching you. Like I remember like I wanted to be a doctor just like you and Aunt Gaynell. And I remember like being in your practices and trying to like help with the administration work. And it's just crazy. Like as an adult, I finally understand what it is exactly that you do and why you're motivated to do what you do. And I don't know, I'm just lucky. I love you, Dad. You're my fave.
Well,
You're
you know,
my
hey,
pops.
I love,
I love
I
you.
love you too. I love you. I still remember. I still got problems in my left hip when you gave me that injection when you were like 6 years old when I had the flu. So I've never recovered
Oh
from
my
that
God.
shot. I got nerve damage from
I
that
wasn't
injection
6. I
you
was
gave
like
me.
12. Okay, funny story, guys. One time my dad was like super sick, and I've never seen this man like cry. Maybe like once. This man was sick, and he was like, I need you to give me a shot. And I was like 12, and I was like, what? And he's like, I need you to give me a shot. I, at 12 years old, gave my dad a shot in his black ass. That's all I gotta say.
And I never recovered from that too. I got post-traumatic syndrome on that one.
No,
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 I love you,
I did
baby.
good. You even told me I did good.
You
Okay,
did
so
great. Okay, go for it.
we're gonna wrap up. I'll try and actually get like some, I guess, questions. I guess people have questions. I know that some people were saying you still haven't answered the question about dog feet because everyone has dogs. Everyone loves dogs. So let's make sure we get that one answered.
Okay, at the end of the bottom line is that if your dog is out in public now in this pandemic, and your dog is out there walking the streets or in the grass pooping with other dogs, because we know that the coronavirus can be in animals, can be in dogs and cats. In fact, the first dog that had it in China died from coronavirus, got it and died 14 days later. You need to make sure you're cleaning your dog's feet using a thing called rescue wipes. This is a oxygenated hydrogen peroxide, and when the dog comes in the house, you take these wipes and you wipe the bottom of their feet, because if not, that dog can transmit coronavirus into your house, and you can be infected, get on your couch. It's the same thing as somebody blowing in their sleeves like that. That area in your clothes is one of the most contaminated areas you can have clothing wise. And so you can imagine the same thing. A dog gets on your couch, has feces from outside, coronavirus, it gets on your couch, you can get infected.
So one thing too that I've seen, I have friends who actually have like dog booties for their feet. I feel like that would be a good idea too, to like
That's
put
a
the
good
booties
way.
on their feet and then leave them at the door and disinfect.
Yeah.
And some people don't have access to like the rescue wipes. You can Google it. And if you don't have access to that, people were asking about hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah,
So about like, does hydrogen peroxide work as well?
Hydrogen peroxide will work too. Absolutely.
So just maybe 150%. Getting like a spray bottle and like spraying their feet with hydrogen peroxide or rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, on their feet, because that would be a source of contamination too.
And then washing your clothes, people always want to know, like putting your stuff in the washer and dryer, does that kill viruses?
Yes, it does. But if you're in an environment that you're exposed to a lot of people, i.e. you're a first line responder or an essential worker, you probably want to bring a pair of clothes, a second pair of clothes to your job. And when you get done with your job, just like when we wear our scrubs, we take them scrubs off and we get into our other clothes. And you put them clothes in a bag and take them home to wash. And that's what you need to do on a regular basis. But do not wear the clothes that you're wearing in that environment that has the disease, because you can get in your car, that virus can get on your seat, or you contact the door. So you want to make sure you wash your clothes every day that you're in that type of environment, or even have a second pair of clothes.
More questions about the dogs. Do you dilute the hydrogen peroxide before you spray it on their feet? And is it safe to spray isopropyl? How do you say that word? I don't know.
Yes.
Is it safe to spray that on their feet?
Yeah, isopropyl, as long as the dog doesn't have an injury to the foot or a cut, they're going to be fine. It's going to sterilize the feet. Hydrogen peroxide is just going to bubble, and it'll do its job and stuff like that. So you shouldn't have any problem with that.
Do you dilute it or no?
No, you don't. No, don't dilute it. Just leave it like it is. You want to have it concentrated like it is in a regular bottle.
Okay. Got it. So obviously we talk about the future. Everyone's coining it, the new norm. I mean, what does that really look like?
Well, the new norm is that people won't be shaking hands in the future. there will be some distancing between individuals. People are going to look at people mentally different because you're going to think that individual is infected. Are we going to get back to having a football stadium full of people? Well, if there's policies and procedures that can protect people, and the public feels confident, that's going to happen. Getting on an airplane, it's going to be you're taking a chance there. Getting on a train, getting on a bus, but people have to survive. We have to be positive. We have to go back to people going back to work, because there are kids out there that are being abused every day. There are women in domestic violence issue. There are kids out there are starving because they get their meals at school. So we have to get back to the economy working in the right direction, but we have to have biosecurity and procedures in place for people can come back and function at the best level they can. Washing hands, masks, clothes, separations and stuff, testing, knowing how many people in the community are affected. These basic procedures and policies are going to be the new norm for at least the next 2 or 3 years, and maybe for the next 30, 40 years.
Yeah, you know, obviously I work for Billboard, so I'm really embedded in the music community, and just to see the impact of the music industry globally at large it's insane. You know, they're saying large gatherings aren't going to be till what, 2021? Do you think that's like an accurate prediction? Do you think it's going to be longer than that?
My prediction is going to be fall of 2021, fall, September, October, when we can get back to some type of normalcy. Is there going to be NFL this year? I don't think so. And the reason why, we haven't even gone through phase 2 yet of the pandemic. So you can imagine one football player in that locker room can affect everybody in that room. One person on the basketball court can affect everybody. Are people going to go back to the dorms in the fall, back to college? Well, if they have good procedures protocol, they have a good testing, and we understand it, and the students understand that, you can start kind of bringing stuff back. You know, and the reality, are people going to start flying again? Are the planes actually really clean? Do they really have good procedures and protocols to function in the new day and age of pandemics? This is a pandemic, and so, you know, it's a game changer.
You know, a good friend of mine is a pilot, so I'm kind of privy to that information, and I would say no. I think that the biosafety standards or protocols are not up to your standards quite yet, Dad. I would say. That's just a little birdie told me that. Also, guys, if there's questions that you have, or if you're watching this and you see other people asking questions that have already been answered, be a friend and go ahead and answer that question for us so that we don't have to repeat it. Like, help each other out. If someone's looking for an answer, give it to them. Also, Dad, for people who may feel inspired during this time to maybe become a scientist or become a healthcare worker, like to young kids, or maybe people who are currently in medical school or studying, etc., like what advice would you give people who are trying to be the next Dr. Rolling?
Well, I tell you, you have to have inspiration. You have to have motivation. You have to have inner fortitude. You know, when I was 4 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut, a fighter pilot, or a heart surgeon. And who would ever thought in my years that I ended up being a surgeon in infectious disease, and that microscope that influenced me when I was 4 or 5 years of age is still a part of my life now. And so, but what makes it very interesting for the people that are interested in this stuff, I didn't have role models like myself. You know, I was always the first one, the first Black in microbiology, first Black with a master in cellular and molecular biology, you know, military scholarships, etc. And so my recommendation would be, if people are very interested in the science and medicine and virology, they need to come and hang out with me. You need to come and hang out with me in Germany. You need to come to Peru and do my program and learn about diseases and see diseases. Because like we say, if you understand the science, you understand the medicine. If you understand the medicine, you understand the science. You don't have to worry about politics, because diseases are above politics. I've seen people with their faces eaten away by diseases from a bite from a mosquito. So what I'm saying is that if you have the inspiration, come on. The road is long, and I can teach you a lot of things, and the door's open for you to experience my world in real time, not from a book, but from the actual environment. You know, going down the Amazon jungle on a boat and going to a village and treating 500 people in that village with different diseases. mean, what better humanity or compassion you can have in saving other people's lives? And diseases and microbiology is what it's all about, because they're always going to be here, 150%.
So my dad's organization is called Tropical Pathology and Infectious Disease, and Disease Association, and he does medical missions and takes medical students and people interested in medical careers down for humanitarian work. Dad, how can people find out more about that? It's just your website, right? tpipa.org.
Yes, you can repeat that for them. And then, and I hope that people would like to come to Germany with me and visit with me and spend a week with me doing virology stuff at the Heinrich Petite Institute, where I'm a professor of virology there. And that institution's been there since 1948. And that's where they developed and discovered the polio vaccine. So you're more than welcome to come and join me, because my boat's big enough to see that type of world if you're interested in the diseases.
Okay, tell them.
Oh, no, don't do that. Man, look at you. You got an afro.
In December, right?
What? What was that?
You were supposed to have a class in December, right? Like, that's not happening anymore.
No, we had a class we were supposed to have a class in March in Germany, the virology course, but that was canceled, because of no transportation. But we're going to get things back again. I'm hoping in June, but for definitely in December and stuff. Hey, what's wrong with your hair, man? You need to put some afro sheen in your hair. Man, girl, that ain't.
Don't hate, appreciate.
Girl, you know what?
Oh, you just
I'm
mad.
hungry. I'm gonna get.
He's mad because he can't get the height that I get.
When I get, you know what I'm gonna get when I get done with it? I'm gonna get me a bowl of grits. I'm hungry.
Ooh.
I'm gonna give me some grits, and I'm gonna put some bacon in it, man. Give me a glass of orange juice, some grits, and some bacon. Sounds good.
That sounds good. You know that I made shrimp and grits the other day.
Really? Man, your grandma.
You guys, my dad gets so mad because obviously I'm in New York right now. He's in Nevada. He's in Las Vegas protecting my Nana, his mom. He's definitely a mama's boy. But he gets pissed because I'm always cooking amazing food, and I grew up cooking for my dad. So he's like, "Why don't you cook for me?" Distance.
Well, but
that's
why. The point is that because every time I come to New York, you know what? You're my baby girl, and I'm Big Daddy Pop, and so I got to take you to Big Daddy Pop restaurants. And you never. What happened to the kid menu? Like spaghetti and meatballs, grilled cheese. It takes you guys always got to be, yeah.
You said spaghetti and meatballs. Okay.
Hey, I can say it. Well, I can say it any way I want to say it, because I'm the one that changed your diapers when you were a kid. I got that on you.
This is where he goes. He goes there every time. Every time.
And when you gave him that shot
really,
in my hip, and when you gave that shot in my butt, I'm still traumatized from that injection, because you broke the needle off and all that stuff, man. I know you were 12 years old, but but I'm still scared of you. I won't never you give me a shot again in my life. That ain't happening. That's a fact.
Can you tell the truth? Can you tell the truth for our viewers? You
want Dr. Rolling, or you want the Mickey Mouse version?
I want the truth about that shot in your ass.
It was the best shot in the world because I survived. You did your job. I didn't care if you hurt my bone. I didn't care. I made it, and you did a good job.
I hate your bone. Okay, well, anyways, we got really off topic. Sorry, guys. Sometimes we miss each other. Obviously, I'm alone, so I miss my family. I think that's what we'll say is the positives, right? Out of all of this, for me, I'm alone. My roommates are stuck in Australia, so it's been really amazing to really just reconnect with family and like take the time to appreciate my loved ones. We get so busy and we take them for granted. This is the time to reconcile past, say you're sorry, forgive, love, have fun, and stay positive. And honestly, right, Dad, it's like just once you can process this information, like it's all about your mindset and being positive. And for me, I know like I'm a huge advocate for mental health. Like I struggle with anxiety and depression. So for me, it's just about knowing what I need at that moment. And I take it day by day. And if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I don't watch the news. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I tell my dad I don't want to hear it, or I'll tell my friends I don't want to hear it if I don't want to hear the headlines. It's really about just like setting boundaries and like staying positive, and it's all gonna be okay,
that's
guys.
What life's about.
Protect yourself.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's having positive, having inner fortitude. We all fall down in life. We have positives, we have negatives. That's what makes a life. from the time you're born until the time you get to your from the cradle to the rocking chair makes a life. So we're going to go through this stuff. But if you have a positive attitude, you have a good mojo, you're surround yourself with good people that have are all going up the same road you're going up. You're going to have you're going to be fine, and realize that we're going to get through this, and you're going to be a better person, because sometimes horror in my world, it makes you a better human being when you have to deal with stuff. And I deal better learning from negative stuff than I do positive stuff.
Oh,
That's just the way it is.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. You always say, I learned what? I learned what? I learned more from the negatives than I do from the positives. All right, Absolutely. Guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will try to do another one, hopefully, in like a month, and see what updates and what's new, or maybe sooner. I mean, you guys are showing us a lot of love, so might be sooner. Dad, what do you think?
Well, I wherever the people is, and I think one of the things I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to break this thing down to people can just understand it. I'm not talking above people. I'm not talking below people. I'm talking people's language, because at the end of the day, we're mortal. I'm mortal. I get diarrhea. I get sick. I can contract the disease, and I can die. And you know what? I like Captain Crunch cereal. I like grits. I'm a human being. So when you break it down, just being just normal. And people relate to that, and I'm normal, and I like being normal, and because people can understand that, and they feel my compassion. Just being regular OG. You. Love you too. I'm an OG. You the OG.
You the OG, Pops. Yes. Okay, guys. Well, I promise you that this video will be up on my IGTV. My dad is not super technical, so I'm trying to get his social media popping. I helped him with his Instagram page, and he is a master at it now, right, Dad? So next, we're going to get on Facebook.
Thank you.
But I promise that this live stream and the previous live stream, I'm going to make sure I get them up on YouTube if possible. YouTube sometimes doesn't work for me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just not doing it right. But promise, this will also get to Facebook as well, because I know that you guys have a lot of loved ones who are not on Instagram, and they majority of them use Facebook. So Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, look out for part 1 and this one, part 2. And we will see you guys real soon.
Love you, Jordyn. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Love you, Daddy.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, honey. Bye. Bye.